Connor, my life. But what happened next was super interesting. Within an hour of being on the internet for the first time in my life, I found myself on a bulletin board selling sports cards, and I realized that this was going to be what I was going to do. And so on intuition and just tasting it, I launched one of the first 3 e-commerce wine businesses in America in 1996 when I launched WineLibrary.com and rebranded my family's business. This is where it gets important here. My objective here today is to not worry about the macro issues potentially over the next 2 decades, because for a lot of executives and operators here, you won't be around to see that play out anyway, and that's not practical, and I have no interest in ideology or futurism. I care about general practicality. I believe the biggest ROI that I can bring here today is help people understand alternatives of what they could be spending their money on to communicate to end consumers, to do business with them. That is what I'm passionate about on an everyday basis. I have no emotion. You'll hear me talk about LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and a bunch of things in a little bit. I have no emotion to them. I could care less if Facebook and Twitter and YouTube are around tomorrow or not. The only thing I do, and it's not up here, but when you saw my slides earlier, it says I day trade attention. The only thing I care about on an everyday basis is where is the consumer's attention, how much does it cost to get to them, and how and what creative do I need to put in front of them so I can get their business. But I'm unemotional about it. I built my family business this way. I took a business that was doing $3.8 million in revenue, 10% gross profit. So you can imagine how little money was left for marketing. I took a business that in 1998, when I left school and started operating my dad's business on the back of WineLibrary.com, on the back of email marketing, and then on the back of Google AdWords, which were the 2 big innovations, having a website, doing email marketing. How many people here were doing email marketing in the late 90s, early 2000s? Raise your hands. So for the OGs that just raised their hands, do you remember those open rates? I mean, I had an email newsletter. How many people have done email marketing in their career? Raise your hands high. Wait till you hear this. In 1998, I had a 200,000 person newsletter that had 91% open rates. What I know more than the sun will come up tomorrow is I know that marketers ruin everything. As a marketer, I ruined email. I remember my email newsletter when I first innovated. I'm like, maybe I can email people. And so I emailed like 80 people and we sold way more wine. And then I was like, wait a minute, that didn't cost me anything. Like the catalog that I used to send out sell the same stuff cost me a fortune. I remember from 1998 to 2000 sending so much email because I was convinced that eventually we would charge for it. Like it was so remarkable. And I went from emailing once a week to 3 times a week to 5 days a week. And then 2 years later, I was like, people read email on Saturday and Sunday. So we went to 7. And then I was like, maybe you can send more than 1 email a day. Systematically from 1998 to 2007, I destroyed our email newsletter. But on the back of that and on the back of buying all the wine terms on Google AdWords the day it came out, how many people here have done Google ad marketing in their lives? So the day it came out, it was 5 cents a click for about 4.5 months before 10 cents became the base. I literally owned every word, from wine to Cabernet to Merlot. This is where the story of my career is devastating. I'm very proud that I built my family liquor business from a 3.8 to a $60 million business in 7 years with no capital, with no VC money. As a matter of fact, and you'll love this crowd will love this, my dad's so old school, I didn't even know that credit lines existed. So I built a business from 3 to 60 million on making every penny work its ass off. That was email and Google AdWords. That's what I'm gonna talk to you about today. How do you make every penny work its ass off? How do you not, and I think everybody will resonate with this following line. The greatest thing that's happening in marketing right now is that we put the past on a pedestal and we demonize the current. We put the past on a pedestal, tried and true. We create bullshit reporting to justify the spend. And then we ask stuff that has real data to prove that it works. That is ludicrous, and that is why we're seeing so many companies lose market share and decline. It's because the executives behind that feel comfortable